Your internet.
Are you on?
Yeah. No, just like us. Just like them.
Yeah, I don't do support.
Yeah, you don't have to. Like,
Okay, hold on.
excuse.
Define X.
I'm back.
I'm gonna. What do you?
No,
Why did you? So you're
Hypothetically say you had a child and they were a female, right?
Mhm.
At what age would you teach them that showing their body is empowering?
I would teach them at all ages to be comfortable with who they are and how they go about doing that. I'm not going to judge them.
Okay, if they came to you and said, "Mom, your pictures online, I just found them on accident. Some kid in the class actually brought them up in class. That harms me." Are you going to listen, or are you going to say, "Oh, sweetheart, you just don't understand. I'm empowered"?
I would say that those pictures are how I chose to express myself. I have sensual photos online that do go along with my poetry.
You are declared a Muslim, right? That's what you say.
Yeah.
You're saying that your own
Muslim.
kid's opinion, saying this is wrong, I don't like this, mommy, is actually takes precedent over your own God's view of it.
No, because I've never had a direct conversation with the law
So you,
about my Instagram.
so you've never had a direct
You
conversation.
can't be a
that Islam is
Muslim
true.
and be in sex work. It
How-
doesn't work that
What do you mean?
way.
When did Allah tell you Islam? You choose Islam?
I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly.
would you date the male version?
This is ugly
Does
black
it stimulate
bitch.
your
Appears in
mental-
our
That's like
face.
actually. Can you just answer a question, please?
I'm serious. I don't know.
So everyone catches your eye equally? That doesn't make sense.
I didn't even say that. Just because it's nothing doesn't mean it's everything.
So
That's
would
stupid.
you date the male version of you?
What is wrong with you? I answered
What
the
is wrong
question.
with you?
I
You
answered
answered-
the question already.
You said I don't know. How about this? Do
Question.
you think that the male version of you is physically attractive? Sure.
Look, when you're attracted to someone...
Oh no, my male version. My female version of me.
Do you find the male version of yourself attractive?
The
Do you find
doppelganger
that
man, like,
picture,
fuck,
male version
goddamn.
of yourself attractive? That wasn't the question. The question was, would I date that person?
You just talk to him.
Fine. Okay. I'm changing the question. Do you find the male version of you is like attractive?
I think someone in the world would find that picture.
Bro, I don't care what
attractive.
someone in the world. Are you
Do
a
you
Mars
find
nerd?
that I'm a savior? Well, how many times do I have to say that?
Just throw an answer out there.
No, you're not going to
Look
force
like
me to
it.
just
Wait,
answer.
Doesn't
you're
matter.
not actually attracted to anyone, then. Would you agree that one of the most habitual moments where men and women are together alone would be an elevator?
Yes.
If you were to take 100 elevator
Sorry.
trips with men and women, is it more likely that we would find an essay in that example? Is that more likely than if we introduced a bear?
It's still
This-
not a
the
good.
example
What do you mean?
was because
What?
you get off the elevator.
What are you talking about? You can stop the elevator.
If a man stopped the elevator while I was in it alone with him, I'd freak out.
I know. How many times do you think it's happened where a man and a woman were in an elevator and the man didn't do that versus when they did?
The reason why there's those
Answer the
videos
question.
that stops.
I'm asking you, what's more likely to occur? A man in an elevator attacking you, being that you're both alone in the elevator, or a bear attacking you if you're both alone in the elevator?
Both would attack.
Both, same likelihood.
Because
Same
no,
likelihood.
because now
Are
we're
you
talking
doing
about
this?
an enclosed space versus I'm alone in the woods.
Oh, so men. So men are more likely to aggress you if you're in an enclosed space.
Yes.
So is the woods?
It depends, really, honestly.
Oh, so that's not consistent. Then.
Two women who answered. If you could get rid of all men, and this would mean that women would never experience essay from men again, would you do it?
How about essay just disappear? How about that?
Just answer the question.
I said, well, how about
You
essay?
didn't answer the question. Here, 2 + 2 = what?
27.
You're actually. Can you be good faith and answer the question?
I did answer it. You just don't like my answer.
You said, I wish essay would go away. No, that's not the answer.
I said, how about essay just go away? If you're gonna, imitate me, at least get the sentence correct.
It's a hot take.
This seems like an easy answer. Like, no, I would have eugenics the entire male species because like 1% of them are criminals and predators. But okay, your refusal to answer the question further points. I mean, you won't actually give an answer. So I'm just going to assume then that your refusal to just immediately knee-jerk, no, I'm not going to.
This must be a Democrat. That's all they do.
Victimized? Yeah, you're a sadist.
They beat around the bush about shit and fuck around.
Why are you refusing to answer the question? What would you want the minimum yearly income to be for your future husband? Okay. Hold on, you said 200K to 500K.
Yeah.
$500,000.
I mean, if I'm getting married at 30, I would want the guy to make 500K.
So, like, let's say you're marrying a guy who's 32.
Well, it's kind of fair in a way. I mean, every man should be rich. I'm broke as fuck.
You think you're top 1% girl? Wait, why do you scoff at that? Wait, are you saying she's not a 1% girl?
I scoffed at you
Hold on, why?
because I think it's degrading.
Yeah, why would that be degrading? Do I need to affirm her as a 1% girl?
You don't need to affirm or deny or anything. It's just the question that was even asked.
But if somebody thinks they're a 1% person, whatever metric you might use for that, must we affirm their self-identity.
No, you don't have to affirm. It's the fact you even ask the question.
What, but if I'm
This
asking
bitch is
her,
stupid.
it's actually, I'm not even affirming or denying her own self-assessment. I'm simply asking if she herself thinks
I
she's
mean, I
like
didn't find
1%.
it degrading, so
Okay, so what's the answer?
yeah, I am.
Next.
Me and Andrew are misogynists.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, Andrew's a misogynist.
I condemn.
I think he has an animosity towards women. Yeah, I think so.
Do you think I'm a misogynist?
I don't have no animosity towards women. I just don't put up with their
And it's
fucking
actually one of the,
bullshit.
like, sins of living in the flesh.
Wait,
I love you, but I also hurt you.
I don't dislike women. I just dislike stupid people. And it doesn't matter if they're men or women. And you just happen to be a stupid person, and that's why I dislike you. And also happen to be a woman at the same time. So you happen to be stupid and happen to be a woman. But I don't hate you because you're a woman. I dislike you because you're stupid. Could that be possible?
Well, why don't you ever talk about men? You always talk about how much you hate.
I debate it professionally for a living against men and women.
There's a lot of stupid men out there.
After you got with a guy who had 1 million TikTok followers, so you could piggyback on that to fame. I would not bullshit me here, sweetheart.
You don't think that men should
Oh, I'm
pay
so
on
tired.
first dates?
In fact, I was listening to you earlier describe how you think that men should pay for dates with women who want to be equal, don't want to give them children, and also want to have their own career.
Men should pay for
That
dates.
absolutely blew my mind.
You don't think that men should pay on the first date?
Oh, I think they should pay on the first date for women who are going to be wives, not for women like you.
I wouldn't be a wife.
Not if you're going to refuse to give a man children, have to have
It's
your
not
own career
refuse.
working outside the home,
It's not
and
refusing to give
split
a
up the
man
chores.
children.
No, you're a roommate. Why would a man pay for you if you're just a roommate? You don't understand that this modern world and all this beautiful
This is his
technology around
wife.
you that you're sitting in right now, if it weren't for men building that and maintaining that, you would have no illusion of being able to be a strong, independent woman and have all these choices and do
But
what you
why
want.
do men do all of that?
They do it because they're benevolent and they are good. Isn't that crazy? They're actually really nice.
But they're getting
If men
something
were-
out
If
of
men
you.
were as bad and misogynistic as
You
you
get
think,
something
they
out of
would
men,
put us
you
in
dumb fat
cages and
bitch.
we'd be, baby
You ever heard
farms.
about
There
putting
would be
the fork
baby
down?
farms.
You're a bit of a
Do that
baby farm.
to
Haven't you popped out 5 children?
Yeah,
You're
I'm
a baby
mother.
farm.
Would you like me to go wake up my children and get them down here too so you can tell them that they're like
No.
gross little
I don't think it's
trophies?
appropriate.
I mean, take your little snarky little insults and shove them up your ass because
Okay.
you are a useless heifer who has never
Hey.
done anything except
You're
gratify your
a
own
great
desire.
woman. I'm not taking away his ability to have children. We've both agreed we don't want to have children. If he doesn't want to have children,
To be
His
fair,
wife
I did
probably
say
bitch
he's a
about
pathetic simp.
I think he would
many
just
kids,
respect
I'll just
women's
do
choices.
until I die. Life is about me and my comfort and what I want. I live for me every day. I wake up with no thought of the future or any duties or responsibilities I have to anyone other than myself.
woman.
I'm just looking at you and I'm listening to you and I'm wondering where this
Nowadays.
entitlement and this sense of confidence is coming from.
I'm
because I'm just like,
entitled because I don't want to have children and I like when men pay on first dates.
what are you useful for?
I would say that women have intrinsic value. Just
So you, what are
me
you
personally? Well, I'm a
specifically like?
woman,
Yeah.
so I have intrinsic value. Sad that you don't see
There you
that.
go.
How?
Because I'm a person
Because
and
you're
everyone
breathing?
has value. It depends on who's looking at you.
Do men have
Seeing it.
intrinsic value?
Yeah, they do, but I said that it's different.
Providing your glorious presence is what he's investing in.
If he values my presence, yes.
That's the worst simping ever. I'm gonna let you live at my house for like practically free and split the chores and pay for all your shit. That's simping. That's like the
Or just like a
definition
guy
of
who
simping.
genuinely likes you. Do you pay any bills with your husband?
No, but I'm a stay-at-home mom. I raise the children. I cook all the meals. Andrew has never done a house chore ever in 17 years. I do all of that. I bring him his food. I bring him his drinks. I keep track of his schedule. Basically do anything he needs me to do to help him because that's my duty in the relationship. So yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about investment, I'm pretty invested.
A lot of women are all chasing after the top 10% of men. And those men will happily just have casual sex with pretty much most women. But they're not going to give that woman commitment. See, there's a differential here. What you have happening is a woman will sleep with a guy and she thinks, well, I was able to sleep with him. He was at 8, 9, or 10, whatever. Because I'm able to sleep with him, that must be my league. But your league is not the men you can sleep with. Your league is the men that you can get commitment from, relationship, and marriage. That's your league, because men can't really sleep out of their league. Like if I step to a girl who's like a 9, instant rejection. I'm not going to be able to like sleep with a really hot chick. And so what's happening is a lot of girls are sharing guys. This is why a lot of dudes end up in the friend zone. Actually, a lot of the guys in their friend zone are actually probably like the guys you ought to be with. So what ends up happening at 30, oh shit, all these guys I did in my 20s. Okay, I'm going to finally settle down. And it actually makes for terrible relationships, because you think you're settling when actually these guys who you rejected throughout your 20s, actually the guys who are kind of in your league.
Feminine essence beings are very sensitive. We need a little bit of extra coddling. We need a little extra protection. We're physically more weak. So
what's the
therefore,
exchange for that?
what's the what?
What's the exchange? If the exchange is that you're a little bit weaker and you need a little bit more coddling and you need a little bit more
need our
society to
guys.
kiss your ass, what's the exchange for men? What do we get?
You get pussy.
Oh, I see. The only thing that you can offer us is the thing that we also can offer back to you, right? Which is, I guess.
I have toys. I mean, you guys aren't doing that
well. So the
well.
thing is, your whole value structure, everything within your values revolves to, I deserve to have my ass kissed because I have a vagina.
I make the babies. You don't make the babies. How did we get the
Tell us
wrong?
you
We
can't
don't
make the
need
babies,
you.
bitch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's personal, but we actually don't.
That's why man will always be superior to the woman. So I got you up. It's just the way it is.
Does 2 plus 2 equal 4?
No, it's
Your brain
38.
definitely does.
I'm asking you.
Again, like, what are we talking about?
The
number
All
is
of you.
literally the number 2. Why is that number?
Equal 4?
1 atom plus 1 atom equals 2. Yes.
I just want a yes or no. Does 2 plus 2 equal 4?
If we're talking on the atomic level, yes.
Okay, what level does it not equal 4?
Anything other than the atomic level.
So anything other than the atomic level, meaning
I am a body made of billions of.
Yeah, we had 10 billion of cells, bitch.
Even when the mother is the unfit parent, the court of law in a divorce case will always favor the woman getting custody.
Sounds
That's
like a
true.
female privilege, doesn't it?
That's
if
true.
having to deal with kids, 3 screaming children on your own is a privilege to you, maybe. But I think
If there's a custody dispute,
Sure.
somebody's desirous of having custody. So let's assume that it's the man who's desiring custody and the woman doesn't want it. That wouldn't be a male privilege.
I'm saying objectively in a court of law, they favor women, and that's a negative a lot of the time for men who want to participate in parenting. I think women are looked at as mothers in society, and that's not necessarily always true and not
And
necessarily
men are
always
looked
fair.
at as wallets
Okay.
and providers and
Oh,
disposable.
that's terrible. I'm sorry
And
that that's been your
disposable.
experience. I'm not saying one is worse than the other.
Cool.
One's
your kids come over to you and say, hey, look, Mom, this is you blowing this guy, and we have it all on film. And this is you blowing this guy, and this guy, and this guy also. And then all these kids at school are beating me up. That seems like one of the best arguments
Oh, your mom's a whore.
I can ever think of.
Yeah, I totally agree. Honestly, I think that when I was in the industry, I really didn't think about the future. And now that I am a wife and a mother, that is something that my past has come back to haunt me. Now that I'm, like, my husband and I, we were practicing, no sex before marriage. And we were on a date one day and he gets a direct message and somebody sent him a picture of me with another man. He'd never even seen me naked. I was mortified. And so, yeah, I think that our decisions definitely have
Yeah, I'd be pretty
consequences,
pissed
and I'll
off.
own up to that.
The feminism mind
So I don't play that
virus
bullshit.
is you want a leader, but you don't want to follow.
It's so hard for you guys to understand quality. I don't think anybody should be a leader here. I think we should both be working together as a team.
A lot of women don't understand because you're
That's
in
a good
privileged
point,
position
but man
of
is
being
supposed to be
sexual
leaders.
selectors.
Always,
You don't understand
man
the
is supposed to always
massive
lead.
burden that it is for men to be the initiators in these situations and take the lead and face the risk of just brutal rejection after rejection. If men just don't take the initiative ever, that's the end of their bloodline. That's the difference between men and women. Women, you just show up when it comes to dating. You just have to make yourself available. If we don't make conscious effort and attempts to approach women, pursue women, that's the end of your bloodline.
Yeah.
That's actually the primary reason, is because of the inconsistency in how they view relationships. I want to be led when I want to be led. I want this when I want that. It's like, that's not submission. That's not marriage. It's nonsense. And there's a huge, ample array of studies which show that women basically all over the world, basically women everywhere, are unhappy and miserable. Everywhere in the whole world. They're just never happy. It's crazy. They always have a lesser happiness index, no matter where. Even in the countries where they're supposed to be the happiest, they're just always miserable. And it's because I think a lot of this feminism and westernized ideology has been exported. And basically women have forgotten what their place in the world is. And it's not beside a man's behind it. You raised your hand when I asked if you dated a narcissist. What made him a narcissist?
I don't know. I guess I'm not like that well versed on the word. He was just like very self-centered and would do things that were rude and weird, and then somehow find a way to blame it on me.
He was rude and weird, and that made him a narcissist. Like, see what I mean? This is what I mean by why it is that I have trouble believing this kind of nonsense about all the narcissists who are around, because I think when a lot of you women say that you dated a narcissist, what you really mean is, I dated a guy who didn't kiss my ass. That's what I think you actually mean. There is a paradox of female happiness globally, and that basically everywhere you pull them, they're less happy than men. Almost everywhere.
Andrew, can I be devil's advocate here? You probably hear this retort. Then how do you explain the fact that men are deleting themselves at higher rates, if that's true?
And they're not as honest
because they're better at it. It's true. Actually, when it comes to unaliving, women and men are about on par with the attempts. It just happens that men are so good and skilled at basically everything they do that they actually follow through and actually end up with determination, whereas women do not, because they suck at it. That's why, I mean, I'm not even kidding. That's true. The attempts made are about equal. They just suck at it.
A woman bowing for you is.
What's the minimum?
I don't believe in that bowing.
I don't think height really matters. I think I'm more of a personality person. Height doesn't matter to me.
How do you reconcile being a personality person, but you refuse to date anybody besides a billionaire?
Because you're asking me for height preference.
I know, but you also said you're a personality gal. So wouldn't this extend itself to somebody's income or financial standing?
Sure, that makes sense.
So how do you reconcile, I only care about personality, with you will only date a billionaire?
I see like you're putting words in my mouth. I never said I only date.
Yeah, sure. You said you're a personality gal. Personality is more important than like other things like height.
Yeah,
okay,
but not more than money.
Okay, I see.
So personality to you, less important than money. I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
Yeah, it's secondary.
How'd you do on that dating show anyway?
Great.
Did you win?
There was no winner.
Did you tell the person that you were going to be dating that you cared more about his money than his personality?
No, I didn't get that far.
I mean, is that a legitimate answer you'd give on a dating show? Like, if the guy asked you, do you care more about my personality or my money? Would you be like, your money?
Yeah. What was the actual question on the sheet?
What would you want the minimum yearly income to be for your future husband?
What would I want?
Want the minimum yearly income?
What would I want?
What's with the attitude? What would you want the minimum yearly income to be for your future husband?
Because how is that trolling? What would I want? What would I want it to be?
I mean, there's some degree of like realisticness.
Answer the question, you dumb bitch.
I mean, because billionaires aren't realistic in your world doesn't mean they're not realistic in my world.
I mean, why not a trillionaire? Why wouldn't you want it to be a trillion?
Because I was being realistic.
Yes, it's totally realistic.
You can't ask me what I would want ideally and then tell me my answer is fake. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Do you agree with me that if every other woman at the table answered the question the way that it was intended except you, would that also lend us more credibility that you're probably trolling?
Every woman at the table is not me. I can't really compare myself to everybody.
Well, how do you make comparisons then? Like, how would we ever make a comparison as to whether or not a person was delusional unless they were making a comparison with people who were not delusional?
Sure. That's my answer to your question.
Because you push this point, right, that people actually get very, very upset if you just kind of point out obvious things that contend with their kind of preconceived notion. Most of human history, most of human society, and currently, I would say most societies in the world outside of the West, women are relegated to secondary roles. And society has absolutely flourished. I just want to fight, except the West. The West is the only one way below thresholds of birth rates. They're the ones who are way below kind of these thriving rates. And so it's like, descriptively, I can clearly see that women were relegated historically to a lesser role. And in most nations, right this second, they're relegated to a lesser role. And these societies function fine. So this like idea that women must be in all these places is just absurd to me. I don't even understand why anybody would argue with that. They could say, again, you make the whole arguments against it. I would agree. I don't want them in the secondary role. I'm just saying that descriptively, obviously, I can see with my own eyeballs.
One of my favorite graphic novels is called Why the Last Man. And
yeah, I've read it.
Yeah, and essentially one day all of the men just
with Yori.
dropped.
Isn't that his name, Yori or Yorin or something?
Yeah, Yorick.
Yorick.
Yeah, and society completely fell apart because women only make up like 2% of engineers or doctors, and they didn't know what to do. I mean, you have to read it. It's actually a really cool perspective.
Society was completely decimated.
Yeah, and it went insane because it helps you realize like how much men actually have a role in society. When I feel like this generation, in the sense, makes it seem like they don't, or try to downplay men, and it's very easy to forget how important they are and how much they do have to contribute and how much expectations are put on them from the moment they're born.
Most abortions are just for like convenience. It's not how tall are you, and is there been, bare minimum height for a guy you would?
Mine, I always used to say like 6 feet minimum, but then the guy I'm currently dating, whom I really like, is below that. I used to say like, guess what I call guys below 6 feet tall? Melon.
Friends.
Yeah, they're my friends. So like now I'm dating someone I really like. So it's like I ate my words. It's the curse.
How tall are you? How tall is he?
I'm 5'3". I don't know how tall he is, but I know if I wear.
Is he gonna watch this?
I don't know. I forbid him anybody from watching my.
I hope he doesn't.
Wait, you forbid them from looking at your TikTok?
Yeah, like the guy I date.
Yeah.
That's gonna make them want to do it so much more. It's crazy.
How many of the panelists are feminists? Going around the table, do you consider yourself a feminist?
It depends on the definition of feminism. I refuse to answer this question unless you give me a definition.
Here, I'll give one. So the movement towards equality or egalitarianism with an emphasis on a rejection of patriarchy. So movement towards equality with a rejection of patriarchy.
Patriarchy is bad, right? It doesn't mean like. It's like I need a definition for that too. I'm so sorry. English is not my first language.
Patriarchy is when men are leading society generally.
Oh yeah, that's bad. Definitely. That's why there's so many wars. You see, like if women are in charge, there'll just be peace talks.
How can you possibly be a 10 now if you need to get these cosmetic surgeries?
No one said I needed them. It's just
you're getting them regardless.
Well, I am in the adult industry, and I probably would make more money if I was like that's kind of a big thing. And I'm not.
So what will you be? But these procedures are going to improve your looks.
Yes.
So then, what number will you be after the procedures?
I will always consider myself a 10. I do what I want with the way I look.
But how can, if it's increasing your physical attractiveness?
Bro, you can know down these specifics. You want me to say I'm like a 9? I don't care.
You say.
I really don't care what you think about how I look.
That's fine.
You can think I'm not a 10. I don't care. Listen, I don't care, and I really don't care what you think about. But I think it's so crazy to get on a podcast and debate how a woman looks.
Well, I'll tell you why it's important.
Really, it's stressful. You're getting me on a podcast to debate how I look, and I've already said I don't care.
Men should keep their legs closed because they don't have a choice. Women have a choice.
Oh, wait, men don't have a choice.
Nope.
I thought you were pro-choice.
Yeah, but.
Oh, so women can have choices. Women can. Women can escape from responsibility, but men can't.
It's not about escaping from responsibility.
What do you mean? Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
If there's a government that says you can't have and women want to get.
Living somewhere like that.
Well, cool. But you would be escaping from the responsibility of having to go through with the pregnancy, despite your wishes not to.
I don't know, but I think a lot of women, when they're about to have considering it, I think they do talk to their partners usually and get their opinion. But people I know who've had abortions, they've not just made that decision.
I think also it's not like we're.
Nope.
If a woman is essayed and becomes pregnant from it, she terminates that pregnancy and becomes a murder. Do you think that she has a right to?
Yes, she should carry the pregnancy to term. That if you are SA, are you allowed to go home and kill your other children? The answer to it, hang on, calm the fuck down and just listen. You're not allowed to go home to your other children. Why? Because you're a life. Because you are SA does not then give you the right to kill somebody else just because you're SA. That makes no sense. So the same logic would be applied here. You don't believe this is a human life, so it's always justified. However, I do believe it's a human life. So what you're actually saying to me is, Andrew, because I was SA, do I now have permission to? And the answer is no, of course not.
I'm really disappointed in Andrew because you seem like a really logical guy, and this is just it's just disappointing.
Saying that you're disappointed by an argument but not refuting the argument is what's disappointing.
Well,
I'm going to ask you a question, and you're probably going to lie to me. Okay. When you walk down the street and you meet women who are in their 40s, are more of them attractive than the women who are in their 20s?
Okay, you're right. I will be 100% less attractive when I'm 40. Thank you for pointing it out. I think that's a valid concern. You at 40, do you think your wife is ugly? Is that what you're saying?
No. Why? That's not. Doesn't even make sense.
Yes, it does. Actually, you literally just called your wife ugly.
No,
sorry.
no. See,
I think she's asking if your wife has gone downhill since you got married.
Let me help you out with logic. If in 10 years you're less attractive than you are right now, that doesn't mean you won't be attractive. That's not calling you ugly. That's pointing out that you're less attractive than you were 10 years prior. Is my wife less attractive now than she was at like 25? Yeah. You know who the first one would be who would tell you that? My wife and every other non-delusional human being on planet Earth. Aren't you in many ways pulling up the ladder behind you or sabotaging other women in the future because you know that this result limits their pools?
I don't know. I feel like men throw their at me every day, so I feel like it's really not that small.
Not having to with you. What we're talking about is if you wanted to establish a long-term physical marriage with somebody who is in this like high income threshold, who is over 6 foot, this type of thing, it's actually a very small pool.
I don't know. Maybe this is just me, but I don't really care if a man's a billionaire or a millionaire. I just want him to be able to take care of himself. I feel like with all the tools that we have at our fingertips, the internet, we have so many dating apps, you can fine tune exactly what you're looking for. So
this is a great point, actually, that you bring up. You're right. And because we have those tools, we have the stats on it. So can you reconcile something for me? How is it that way more men than women report that they're single? How could that be possible?
Chair chopper, that sucks. Please attend suction. Stop sucking with Seresto.
Men should keep their legs closed because they don't have a choice. Women have a choice.
Oh, wait, men don't have a choice.
Nope.
I thought you were pro-choice.
Yeah, but.
Oh, so women can have choices. Women can.
I think
hold on, stop. Women can escape from responsibility, but men can't.
It's not about escaping from responsibility.
What do you mean? Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
If there's a government that says you can't have, and women want to get,
living somewhere like that.
Well, cool. But you would be escaping from the responsibility of having to go through with the pregnancy, despite your wishes not to.
I don't know, but I think a lot of women, when they're about to have or considering it, I think they do talk to their partners usually and get their opinion. But people I know who've had abortions, they've not just made that decision.
I think also it's not like we're. If a woman is SA'd and becomes pregnant from it, she terminates that pregnancy and becomes a murder. Do you think that she has a right to?
Yes, she should carry the pregnancy. That if you are SA, are you?
I wanted to have a threesome for a first time. Is that wrong? Why?
Is when it comes to this whole balance thing, and I'll actually grant to you, it's like it might seem a little surprising because, at least in Western culture, it's out of the norm.
Yeah.
But in terms of the actual ask, it actually takes really no effort from the woman. But I guess what confuses me, so like a guy could ask his girlfriend to do this, or even a girl you just start seeing, and she might object to it for feminist reasons. And by the way, Grid One, I will ask your question here in a moment. She might object to it for feminist reasons, or I don't want to. What is that? But like the same woman that will object to a otherwise benign, innocent vow, within 30 minutes of meeting a man, will suck his and let her fuck him. So I just thought I'm not saying that about you. I'm just saying that.
Thanks.
I'm just saying like girls who object to the vow will fuck a dude within 30 minutes of meeting them.
When a man wants to go 50-50 with you on a date, do this. Oh my God. I'm so embarrassed right now. Wait, you wanted to just be friends? I'm so confused this whole entire time. I thought this was a date. Oh my God. Okay, I'm so sorry. Here's my card.
So you want a traditional guy, right?
I wouldn't say that I want a traditional guy, no.
But you want a guy to pay for first dates?
I would like somebody to pay for the first date, yes.
Why?
Because the kind of man that I'm looking for like
the father of my children, life partner, somebody who has ambition, leadership qualities, like someone who has like honestly like a job where he could, you know, where he's like looking for a wife, someone who wants to take care of a wife and his children, and like if I get pregnant with this babies, that we're not going to be fucked if we get married, you know, like.
She was saying when I was like, oh, I would want my girlfriend to do a vow or something when she greets me. Yeah. She was like, well, would you do that back? Because there's an expectation there when men want things, men also have, or excuse me, when, hold on, how's the framing here? If a man wants something, he has to be willing to reciprocate that to the woman if he wants it. But if women want things, it's not clear to me if there's an expectation that the woman has to reciprocate that. For example, if a woman wants a man to pay for first dates, well, or will you pay for first dates? Yeah. That's really a rare reciprocal expectation.
I think your statement.
It's a one-directional expectation. You said this was a disagreement, women's rights being made up.
That was something that I saw Andrew speak on, so I don't know if.
Okay. Do you think is he referencing the idea that women's rights are fake because they're only given by men?
Yes. Yeah, because of the physical thing.
Yeah.
So
because
I don't know
in the world, you know, the strongest people make all the rules, and so if the strong people make the rules that women have rights, and then they enforce them legally through violence, then the only reason women have rights is because men use violence to make sure women have rights.
Yeah, disagree. What I disagree on is women make every human being. So when you eternally owe homage to your mother, because men can physically dominate women, but women don't naturally have rights.
Men also dominate each other. We don't naturally have.
A lot of.
Welcome to the Advantage family. We're dead serious about pet parasites.
Is when it comes to this whole bowing thing, and I'll actually grant to you, it's like, isn't the guy who you are viewing like, oh, this guy could be like long-term relationship potential, he has to wait for, but the guy who's maybe going to treat you poorly, who's he hits right away
because she doesn't want him to stay around.
So hang on. So let me just ask you from the guy's perspective. Say you and I are sitting down for dinner. Hey, look, the guy said, don't like it.
Yeah, so it's weird.
What should my play be?
If a guy wants to get, he has to be the bad dude.
No, he has to be
So you guys
attractive.
are incentivizing it. Men will do what works. You reward the guys who treat you like and you them right away. Is it any surprise that if you guys are like giving yourselves to these awful men that you're reinforcing their behavior?
Have you guys ever gotten treated by a guy?
But you only wait though.
Just because he was
you
attractive?
only sleep with men that you don't like.
Well, I don't think it's
typical. Bitches
I
are
don't want for a
stupid.
long-term relationship. Maybe
Because why?
Maybe he's highly desirable. Like he has a lot of women chasing after him, so you already know he's not really looking to commit to anyone. But he's attractive. Like I think when women,
You're settling?
The nickname dark labia equals spicy on hot, so own it?
Well, what I'm confused about is that
Oh, good grief. Let's go to YouTube on the phone. Look, I'm hungry and I'm thirsty. Shut up. I gotta take the dogs out. Go outside. Go. Okay. I hate this goddamn piece of garbage. Why's everything a piece of shit in this shitty ass country? Come on. Let's go. Baby goddamn dog. Come on. Get out of the way. Oh, fucking stupid. Get out of the way, jackass! I'm making you laugh. Go fuck yourself.